Once upon a time, in the early days of mobile phones, they were large and clunky devices known as bricks that were primarily used by businesses and wealthy individuals. These early mobile phones could only make calls and send text messages. But as technology advanced, new features and capabilities were added to mobile phones, and they became smaller, more affordable, and accessible to more people. It was then when people started to think of mobile phones as more than just a communication device, but as a device that could do more. As the years passed, a new breed of mobile phone began to emerge, known as the smartphone. Smartphones were different from regular mobile phones in that they had advanced features such as web browsers, email, and advanced apps. The first smartphone was the IBM Simon in 1992. It had a touchscreen and could send faxes and emails, although it wasn't a commercially successful product. But it wasn't until the early 2000s when smartphones began to gain mainstream popularity. In 2002, RIM released the BlackBerry, which was designed for business users and offered advanced features such as push email and a full QWERTY keyboard. This device was a hit among businesses and it helped to pave the way for the modern smartphone. In 2007, the first iPhone was introduced by Apple. It was a revolutionary device which featured a touchscreen, a powerful processor, and a new operating system that was designed for smartphones. It was the first phone to introduce the concept of apps and the App Store, which allowed developers to create software that could be easily installed and used on the device. The iPhone's release was a game changer, and it quickly gained a large following. Other companies such as Google and Samsung began to take notice and develop their own smartphones and mobile operating systems, the most notable being Android. The Android operating system was developed by a company called Android Inc., which was founded in 2003 by Andy Rubin, Rich Miner, Nick Sears, and Chris White. Android was Andy Rubin's nickname because of his fascination with robots. The Android project was originally made for digital cameras to develop an operating system for digital cameras in 2003. The plan was to create a camera platform that would include cloud storage for images and videos. That way, users likely wouldn't have to rely on a camera's onboard storage as much and could easily access their photos from multiple devices. However, the focus shifted to smartphones in 2004 after deciding that digital cameras were not a big enough market. The project changed to become an operating system for smartphones. The Android company was later acquired by Google in 2005. At Google, the Android team decided to base their project on Linux, an open-source operating system for personal computers. On November 5, 2007, Google announced the founding of the Open Handset Alliance, a consortium of thousands of technology and mobile telephone companies. The Open Handset Alliance was led by Google with 34 members, but the number of members increased as time goes by and reached approximately 80 members. The group was founded with the goal of developing open standards for mobile devices. The Open Handset Alliance was formed to develop and promote Android, an open-source operating system for mobile devices. The Alliance mission is to make mobile devices more affordable and accessible to people around the world by creating a standardized, open-source platform for mobile devices. The Open Handset Alliance members include a wide range of companies from various industries, such as mobile device manufacturers, mobile network operators, software companies, and semiconductor companies. Together, These companies collaborate on the development and promotion of the Android operating system. They work together to establish standards and guidelines for the platform and help ensure that it is compatible with a wide range of devices and networks. Members share a commitment to expanding the commercial viability of open platform development. The consortium was created in order to develop and promote Android as a free open source operating system with support for third-party applications. Android-based devices use wireless networks in order to take full advantage of features such as one-touch Google Search, Google Docs, and Google Earth. At the same time as the announcement of the formation of the Open Handset Alliance, the Open Handset Alliance also unveiled Android Open Source Project, an open source mobile phone platform based on the Linux kernel. The Open Handset Alliance's main product was the Android platform, which is the flagship software of the Alliance. It is based on an open source license and has competed against mobile platforms such as iOS from Apple, Windows Phone from Microsoft, BlackBerry OS from BlackBerry. The first commercial version of the Android operating system, Android 1.0, was released in September 2008, about a month after the Open Handset Alliance was created. Looking back, Android's existence has been a blur. It's now a historically big operating system, but how did Google get here? Android wasn't very popular in the early days, and until Android 4.0, screenshots could only be taken with the developer kit. These two factors mean you aren't going to find a lot of images or information out there. The problem now with the lack of early coverage is that early versions of Android are dying. While something like Windows 1.0 will be around forever, you could just grab an old computer and install it. Android could be considered the first cloud-based operating system. Many features are heavily reliant on Google's server to function. With fewer and fewer people using old versions of Android, those servers are being shut down. And when a cloud-reliant app has its server support shut off, it will never work again. The app crashes and displays a blank screen, or it just refuses to start. The first Android-powered phone was the T-Mobile G1, also known as the HTC Dream. Things were pretty basic back then, and it has gone through multiple major releases and updates over the years. The software in Android 1.0 did include a suite of early Google apps like Gmail, Maps, Search, Contacts, Talk, Calendar, and YouTube. These apps were not updatable as individual apps, as they were part of the operating system and needed a whole operating system software update in order to be updated. The Android SDK was also released by Google in 2008. It was the first set of tools developers needed to start creating apps for the Android platform. It included a set of libraries, APIs, and an emulator to test apps. The SDK was initially available as a standalone package. At the time of Android's launch, Eclipse was the most widely used integrated development environment for Java development and was used by many Android developers to build their apps. Eclipse provided a range of features and tools to help developers create and debug Android apps, including a visual layout editor, debugging tools, and a plugin system to extend its capabilities. Android 1.0, which is the first commercial version of Android, had basic features such as phone calls, texting, email, camera, and web browsing. Android 1.0 and 1.1 were not released under specific code names. Android 1.5, also known as Cupcake, was the first release to officially use a code name based on a dessert item. a theme used for all releases until Android Pie in alphabetical order. It introduced support for third-party keyboards, video recording, and widget support. Android 1.6 Donut added support for CDMA networks and improved search functionality. Android 2.0 Eclair version introduced Google Maps navigation, multiple email accounts, and flash support for the camera. A month after the release of Android 2.1, an update shipped called 2.1 Update 1. The update added one feature, something iOS long held over the head of Android: pinch zoom. With pinch zoom enabled in Google Maps, the browser, and the gallery, the Google-Apple smartphone war was on. In the coming years, the two companies would become bitter enemies. Meanwhile, Google introduced the Android NDK, which allowed developers to write parts of their apps in native code. This was a big step forward as it allowed developers to create high-performance apps and take advantage of the full performance capabilities of the Android platform. Android 2.2 Froyo added support for Adobe Flash in the browser and introduced just-in-time compiler for improved performance. Android 2.3 Gingerbread came with refined user interface, improved copy and paste functionality, and introduced NFC support. Android 3.0 Honeycomb was the first Android tablet-optimized release, with a redesigned UI and improved multitasking. Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich release combined the tablet and phone versions of Android, introduced face unlock, and improved camera capabilities. The progress of Android source code leaving individual apps updatable from the Google Play Store has been a gradual process over the years. This has been achieved through a combination of improvements to the Android operating system and the Google Play Store. Android 4.3 would have been an incredible update if Google had done the traditional thing and not released updates between 4.3 and 4.2 through the Play Store. If the new Play Store, Gmail, Maps, Books, Music, Hangouts, Keep, and Play games were bundled into a big brick as a new version of Android, it would have been hailed as the biggest release ever. Google didn't need to hold back features anymore though. With very little left that required an OS update, at the end of July 2013, Google released the seemingly insignificant update called Android 4.3. All of these developments have made it possible for the majority of apps on the Google Play Store to be updated without the need for the over-the-air updates. This has been a key factor in the growth and popularity of the Android platform, making it easier for users to access and use the latest apps and features. Android 4.4 KitKat improved performance on lower-end devices, introduced Google Now, and introduced the transparent UI design. After that, a version of Android KitKat exclusive to the Android Wear devices was released. Android Wear is a platform for wearable devices that was announced by Google in 2014. It was created to bring the features and apps from Android smartphones to wearable devices such as smartwatches, fitness trackers, and other wearables. The first Android Wear smartwatch was released in June 2014, and it quickly became popular among consumers and developers alike. Over the years, many other Android Wear smartwatches have been released by various manufacturers, including Samsung, LG, and Huawei, among others. Meanwhile, at the same year, Google announced Android Auto, which is a mobile app developed by Google to mirror features of an Android device, such as a smartphone, on a car's dashboard information and entertainment head unit. It is a platform that allows drivers to connect their Android smartphones to their car's infotainment system. The idea behind Android Auto was to bring the features and apps from Android smartphones to the car's infotainment system, making it easier and safer for drivers to use their phones while driving. Android operating system was initially developed for smartphones, but it has since been used in a wide range of devices, including tablets, televisions, and in-car entertainment systems. Android 5.0 Lollipop version came with material design overhaul, introduced Project Volta for battery life improvements, and introduced support for multiple user profiles. Around that time, Google introduced Android Studio, a new IDE specifically designed for Android development. Android Studio was built on the IntelliJ IDEA platform and offered a range of features and tools specifically tailored for Android development. Some of the key features included a visual layout editor, a fast emulator, and built-in support for Google services such as Google Play and Google Cloud Platform. The first stable build was released in December 2014, starting from version 1.0. Android 6.0 Marshmallow improved app permissions, introduced Google Now on top, and added support for fingerprint sensors. Android 7.0 Nugget introduced split-screen multitasking, improved notification system, and added support for VR. Also, Google officially announced that it would support Kotlin as a first-class language for Android development in 2016, alongside Java. And in 2017 at Google I/O, the company's annual developer conference announced that Kotlin was now the preferred language for Android app development, thanks to its improved security, performance, and productivity. Android 8.0 Oreo version introduced picture-in-picture mode, improved battery life with background limits, and introduced support for Android Instant apps. Android 9 with Pie codename introduced adaptive battery and adaptive brightness, app actions and slices, and introduced a gesture-based navigation system. Google began using numerical order naming scheme with Android 10 in 2019. Android 10 focused on privacy and security, introduced new location data policies, introduced a system-wide dark mode, and introduced Project Mainline for updating core system components. Android 11 in 2012 introduced a new Conversations section in the Notifications shade, one-time permissions, improved media controls, and bubbles for multitasking. Android 12 introduced Material U, an updated design language based on material design, scrolling screenshot in supported apps, and more. Android 13 came with better Material U updates, per-app language personalization, and improved privacy and permission experiences. The future of Android and smartphones is expected to feature continued innovation in AR, VR, and the metaverse. AI will make smartphones more intelligent and personal, while VR and AR will provide more advanced and immersive experiences. The metaverse may create new opportunities for social interaction, entertainment, and commerce. 5G and edge computing will play important roles in enabling these advancements.